Good evening. It is 7 o'clock, so we'll call our regular Board of Education meeting to order. If we could rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Take attendance. Ms. Burkmeyer? Here. Mr. Green?
Here.
Mr. Richards?
Here.
Mr. Moses?
Here.
Mr. DeRue? Mr. Vendatelli?
Here.
Ms. Knox here. Okay. I will accept a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
So moved. I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. We'll move on next to our superintendent's update.
Okay, while Mr. Rathman is getting his presentation ready, I'll give you a quick rundown on a few pertinent things. First of all, enrollment is doing very well. So we are currently up well above what we had kind of budgeted. So for example, we are up at every elementary building. So for a total of, we're 71 students above at the elementary level. We are up about 50 at middle school south. And then even the high school where we had a large graduating class drop off, based off of, we've gotten about 92 schools of choice students and move-ins. There's quite a few move-ins as well. And so right now that is only, we did have some drops, so they're about 30 off of where they were, where we were expecting significantly more. So right now on net, we are up over about 49 students. And we expect we will have some drops. There are some students we don't know. We won't know until they don't show up the first day because we won't get records requests. And those will come streaming in. But right now we are looking pretty good. Then we are also gearing up for the other big change, which is universal meals, breakfast and lunch. So we're trying to make sure we have everything ready for students to take advantage of that. One of our concerns is a lot of our federal funding is tied to the free and reduced lunch form. And so we're asking parents, if they're going to take advantage of it, to please at least fill out the form. Because the concern is if we don't have them fill out the form, then because everybody gets universal like meals, then our percentage will drop and there's significant federal funding that goes with that in the form of Title I, II, IV, and so on. Staffing, we're 2 teachers away from being fully staffed and at the teaching level. And then for the rest of our positions, you can see out here, we are set for our district-wide job fair, which will be held here now for the other levels. But things are shaping up to be in a good spot. We did have to add, like with the enrollment, we did add 3 more teachers at the elementary level to accommodate the 70 some students, but those are in place and we're on pace to open. So with that, I'll turn any questions and then I'll turn it over to Mr. Rath.
Is there a due date, like on the free and reduced applications? Do they have to get done by a certain day?
Typically, you want them done within the first month of school.
I'm just wondering if we should have a station at open houses.
Yeah, and then we have it on the website so they can do it electronically as well. And then we'll work on that on a building level in order to make sure that they have that. So. Okay, Mr. Rathman will present the, because we have to have this before the public hearing, the ESSER grant update that's required by law.
And Lisa, to address, I know we are planning to have those at the open houses as well. So those applications. So yeah, I'll be as brief as I can about this. This is a requirement of the ESSER 3 grant that every 6 months we have to give you an update and allow for public comment on the way we are currently planning to utilize and spend the ESSER 3 funds. So I'll just run through this quickly, but if you have questions, feel free to interrupt me. As you may recall, we received $2,875,000 worth of ESSER funds, ESSER 3 funds, I should say. The primary uses that we have for those funds are addressing our students' academic needs, social, emotional, and mental health needs. So I'll start first, though, by talking about some of the hardware and software. So we're spending approximately 13% of that on technology that the students can utilize academically. And that is primarily through Chromebooks and then hardware that we've purchased software, that we've purchased for students such as IXL and some of the other software that we're utilizing. We also are spending, by law, we're required to spend 20% of those funds addressing unfinished learning and learning loss. We are actually budgeting 72% of the grant in that regard. So 72% of our funds will address learning loss and unfinished learning. And the primary ways we're doing that is we've added some human resources to support our academics, our mental health, and we've extended learning after school, and we also have expanded our summer learning opportunities for students. In addition to that, we've purchased some materials and are paying for a number of our common assessments that we utilize to obtain data about our students and then therefore target those areas where they need support. We've also identified and have utilized a number of the funds to meet the needs, the unique needs really of our low-income children, students, and children with disabilities. So that is 72% of the grant. The remaining 15% is being utilized to address students' social, emotional, and mental health needs. And a lot of that is social workers and counselors that we've added to the staff. So that is primarily how we are utilizing the funds. This plan is available on our website. And I would encourage the staff, if you have any questions, to feel free to reach out to me at my email address. It's todd.rathman@abs.misd.net. And that is also available on the webpage. So are there any questions I can take from the board this evening? Or any of the community, if they have a comment, I will address those after the board. Okay, hearing none. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next item is our hearing of the public. I do not have any submissions this evening. So we will move on. Communications. Moving to the consent agenda. Tonight's consent agenda consists of the approval of minutes from the June 21st regular meeting, the June 21st special meeting, and the special meeting August 2nd, as well as the personnel report, financial report, and the bills payable for June and July of 2023. Is there a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented?
I'll make the motion. I'll move. Second.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, any discussion? All right, go ahead and call the roll.
Mr. Moses?
Yes.
Ms. Knox, yes. Mr. Vendatelli?
Yes.
Mr. Richards?
Yes.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Ms. Berkmeyer?
Yes. All right, motion passes. We will move into new business. So the first item we have is MASB's 2023 Delegate Assembly. So each year, the Michigan Association of School Boards holds their year fall conference. This year, it will begin Thursday, November 9th at 7 o'clock at the Lansing Center in Lansing. Delegates are selected by the school boards across the state, and They will decide the MASB's position on a wide variety of issues regarding education. All the delegates and the alternates must be school board members, and only delegates and alternates named by your board may offer motions and vote on issues. So our board needs to name a delegate for the conference or meeting. I do know both myself, at least for now, both myself and Ms. Knox are planning to attend. I'm not sure if anybody else was also planning to attend. If so, you can let us know. So if we want to,
Are you going either way?
yeah,
If you're the
we're
delegate or
both
not?
going, yes.
Well, then I would make a motion that Ms. Knox be our approved delegate, Ms. Burkmeyer be our alternate.
I'll second that motion. Sorry.
Hey,
Any other discussion?
Next time.
And if anybody else wants to attend, just let Sherry know and she will happily register you. Great, go ahead and I'll roll.
Mr. Green,
Yes.
Mr. Vendatelli,
Yes.
Mr. Moses,
yes,
Mr. Richards,
Yes.
Ms. Burkmeyer,
Yes.
Ms. Knox, yes.
Next item is our Board of Ed October meeting change. This was requested honestly by myself, if we would be willing to change the regular meeting and the special meeting that was planned for October 21st, I'm sorry, 25th, up to October 18th. So I don't, know if we want to have discussion, but we need to have a motion to be able to discuss. So
I'll make a motion to approve.
is there a second?
I'll second it.
And then discussion. Honestly, I requested this, just have personal family events on October 25th that have come up. And so that was just my request. I know we had Mr. Green, Rodney Green, planned for the 25th. So Phil,
Yeah.
I'm assuming checked, and he can make it the 18th if we choose to move it to that date instead. But obviously it should come before everyone because we already voted on our schedule, so.
I'm free.
Yeah, I already checked my
I don't see an
schedule,
issue.
so I'm
Okay.
good, yeah.
All right, any other discussion or? Dennis, you good?
I'm good, just, yeah, just looking at events.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, the motion passes, so we will move that meeting and special meeting from the 25th to the 18th. Okay, next item is the New Baltimore Security Resource Officer. So this is an agreement between New Baltimore and Anchor Bay School District for the district to have a full-time SRO from New Baltimore PD. So we feel this partnership with New Baltimore Police would be valuable and a resource for the district for our students and staff safety. So the recommendation is that we approve the New Baltimore Security Resource Officer contract as presented.
I have a question about this contract.
We gotta have
So-
a motion
Oh,
first.
Okay,
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Okay. Go
Um,
ahead.
with regards to the New Baltimore Security SRO contract compared to the St. Clair County SRO contract, I did the math and I believe St. Clair, we're paying them $17 an hour. I don't have the contract in front of me. But I believe, okay, so New Baltimore, I think it's $60 an hour versus St. Clair is $17 an hour. That's based on the number of days and the pay rate for that amount of time. Correct me if the figures are wrong, but if they are correct, I guess I'm wondering a little bit, why is there such a discrepancy between the two?
It's based off of what their salaries are and what their structure is and whether they have other funding coming in that can offset that. So we're kind of like what we did with Chesterfield. When that contract was revised, they're like, this is a dollar amount based off of their salaries. This is what they, in order to have that person, that's the cost that we would need to fill.
Okay. So it's based on what the police department is basically telling us what the,
Yeah, we're basically, it's a prorated for the number of days that you're getting for that person and whatever the cost of that person is.
I'm just speculating, but I'm thinking because the St. Clair's a sheriff's office, it's a much bigger pool to draw from, so they probably have more programs to offset that cost as opposed to New Baltimore. But that's just,
Yeah, it really comes down to they try and, you're trying to offset whatever their threshold is. So like this one actually, for New Baltimore, it will not start with a full-time. It'll start with the same two days a week. And the goal is once they staff up to get to full-time if they have that. So that also will kind of vary depending on their availability. But again, it's just different wage benefit structures and so on. And then again, if they have money, they're getting money from something else that provides for that, say the sheriff's department or something, then they'll lower the cost for us because there's an advantage to have that person in the district.
just to piggyback off of that, this came to me, sometimes New Baltimore doesn't have the resource to send anybody at all. Do we still pay for those days that they, even though, because it's contractual or?
Yeah, so again, it's based on availability there.
So
Uh,
if they're there, we pay for them. If they're not, we don't.
I thought the payment for that is scheduled to be sent out. I think it was monthly or annually.
Yeah, it's based off of the days that they have, yes.
Okay, so it's deducted at the end of the month or whatever it is based. Okay, okay.
Yeah, this is actually, we use the same base contract that we did with Chesterfield. So then that was the base contract, and then the numbers just changed based on the jurisdiction that it's in.
Okay. That's all the questions I had. Thank you.
So I have a couple of comments. First, the principal at Middle School North has made it clear for 7 or 8 years that he wants a full-time SRO. And quite frankly, the last several years of the SRO that New Baltimore has been providing hasn't met the standard that was being met when now Chief Blackburn was our SRO, to the point where the district went to New Baltimore and said, if we can't have Blackburn, we don't want anybody. That was how much he was loved in the community. Coaching sports, nighttime activities wasn't an issue. He was everywhere all the time. Whether he was on the clock or not, I don't know. It's irrelevant for me. We haven't seen that kind of attention from New Baltimore in 5 years. So this isn't a full-time agreement. This is I guess 40%, 2 days a week out of 5. And it's a 5-year deal. So I have an issue signing a 5-year contract when I personally have gone to New Baltimore and said, we want a full-time SRO. And I've been given every reason under the sun why they can't provide it, from staffing to your current SRO is a detective to we don't have vehicles, kind of all over the board, quite honestly. I can't approve this contract when I have a principal who's been screaming and stomping his feet for 8 years, saying, I want a full-time SRO, and we keep getting promised we're going to get one. Nothing changes. So when was the agreement? Is there an agreement in place now?
Currently it's a lapsed agreement.
How long has it been lapsed?
I believe since the year before I got here.
So while I completely have faith in the new chief taking over from the old chief and doing what he says he's going to do, because he's going to do it.
Yeah.
I can't support a 5-year deal that doesn't hold them accountable for anything more than 2 days a week. There's not an escalator in there. There's no penalty in there. And when I say escalator, I understand he's the new chief. He's getting trust me, I know personally that his hands are very
Yeah.
full.
Yeah.
So I would be okay with a 1-year agreement. If they want a 5-year agreement, it needs to escalate to, we go to 3 days a week next year, 4 days a week the year after, and maybe in 4 years we have 5 days a week. But Chesterfield can provide it. So can the sheriff. They're all up against the same recruiting numbers percentage-wise that New Baltimore is. And I'm not interested in entering into a 5-year agreement that will give us the same service that we've had for the past, as long as I've lived here. And again, I guess enrollment-wise, you could tell me how many students do we have that are under the purview of Chesterfield versus how many students are under the purview of New Baltimore. And I don't think that Mr. TD's request and continued request
Mhm.
for 8 years to have a full-time SRO is unreasonable. So I won't be supporting the agreement tonight because I'm not entering into a 5-year deal to reward performance that isn't been, at least in my tenure on the board, what we've asked for. And I'm sure it goes way back before me.
I don't disagree with any of that. I just don't know if if they're not gonna do it, is it worth losing those 2 days? That you're gonna have somebody because you didn't sign, you know what I mean? I get where you're coming from and I agree with you. I just don't know if they're ever gonna be able to do it because I've been here for 42 years. My kid's only been in the school for, 20 or 18 years, and I don't remember them ever being there more than 2 days a week.
Well, and I guess a clarifying question I would have is, if they can never provide that, are we willing to say that we won't have one?
And that's what I'm saying. I would rather have one
Yeah.
2 days a week than 0.
Right, and I'm afraid too, if we reject it outright, are we gonna just lose it altogether? You know,
Like I
we've
said-
been operating with a lapsed contract kind of on good faith, I guess, but
What makes it tough is because of the jurisdiction, and correct me if I'm wrong, we can't go anywhere else to get one.
I was just gonna ask that. Are we able to leverage like Macomb County Sheriff since we leverage St. Clair County Sheriff?
We can, St. Clair doesn't have jurisdiction, Macomb would, but it would be more expensive.
Yes.
I think we actually, Todd could probably answer. I think we've shopped it.
Yes.
Macomb is more expensive than St. Clair. But, and I agree with you. So I'm okay with a 1 year. Chief Blackburn gets his feet under him
Yeah.
and provides the promised full-time. I'm not in the habit of entering contracts that
They can't be
'cause of-
fulfilled.
aren't going to be what I desire.
Well, even neighboring district did go with the sheriff and it was around 140, 150,000.
It's expensive.
And what do we pay for New Baltimore?
Is it 30?
That's New Baltimore is,
Is it 31 for 2 days? Is that what it was?
32 grand, I thought.
so it's,
So you're looking at 60,
It's
probably
about 35,000,
75. So
yeah.
you're looking about half.
And I want to keep them.
Yeah.
I don't want to go to the sheriff. I think they're an important part of the community, but 8 years, I got a principal that's been asking, and for the time I've been on this board, I've been asking. And 5-year contract. I'm glad it gives them some comfort. Doesn't give me any. Doesn't give me any recourse. I just signed a 5-year deal. They can provide me with 2 days a week. And that's the end of the conversation.
do we have our situation with Fortis? Where are they in a staffing position to provide us with more people?
Yes,
Let
they-
alone if we
if-
requested or,
yes, if we request it, they will,
okay.
yes.
And while you're gathering that next sentence, I don't want to infer that Fortis can take over for an SRO.
No.
In
No,
no way am I saying
I
that.
understand that, yeah.
No, yeah, I'll just say in my perspective, I figured we wanted at least some. That's why I figured
Right.
if we're gonna get to continue what we have and then augment as needed.
And I don't think we want to make enemies with the police department of your local jurisdiction either. Not that you would, but.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe there's a way to work it out
Are,
where you get Macomb 3 days a week and New Baltimore 2.
are we in our plans going to be increasing like additional assistance to the middle schools at least in the near future?
Yeah.
But not, I mean, assuming New Baltimore's keeps us around 2 days a week, which has
Yeah,
been,
our plan is to, like, right now, Amanda's working on reallocating so that everybody will have somebody there for a complete day. Whether it's Fortis or an SRO or, depending on the location and so on, and working around even the 2 days.
okay.
Did we attempt to negotiate away from the 5 years, or did we just take what was handed from the city of New Baltimore to us?
No, based on our previous discussions, I always assumed that we would at least go with the 2 days because we wanted at least an SRO. So that was the basis, that at least because if they come back next year and say we can only do 2 days, I didn't envision based off of what the discussions we had that we would ever go below that. that we'd be in a position to say, well, we don't want it. We'll just, go with somebody else. So that's how we kind of had the basis of those discussions to go 5 years. So then now we have some cost certainty as we're looking forward, and that we would never kind of fall below that.
And I think it's important to have local law enforcement in with your students just to build that respect and to keep communications open as they get older. I think it's important to have them there.
So if in a year, New Baltimore comes back and says we have staffing for, 5 days a week, are we able to modify the existing?
Yeah, then we'd ramp up to the 5 days. That the discussion that Amanda had with the chief was, because the way it works now is that it's tied to their detective position. So the current SRO detective is moving to a different position. So therefore they're hiring for that position. And then we'll have that person 2 days a week. And then his hope is to be able to staff up so that he would be able to allocate a full-time person as part of that. So the plan was, let's get through this year, and over this year, he would find a person. And then the next year, the goal was to have somebody full-time.
I completely support that.
Yeah.
But until it's in writing, you have an attorney sitting right there, he'll tell you if it's not in writing, it doesn't have. to
No, that's
happen.
true. I just didn't envision that we'd ever pull back even below the two days a week.
You know,
So,
if we've talked about a 2-year deal, again, we have a new chief in place, things are
Yeah.
gonna change. I'm okay with that, but not 5 more years after we've been asking for 7.
no, and so a couple options. So Robert's Rules of Orders, you can reject this one, and then you can pass an amendment to that effect with 1 year or 2 year, or whatever you want to do. So, and then we'll take that back based off of that. So,
With sometimes the not so great relationship that we've had with some of our, in the past, that's seemed to be improving greatly. I would like to see this passed. It guarantees us an SRO officer for 2 days for the next 5 years. We could always look somewhere else to fill the other 3 days, right? I mean, you don't have to get a full-time Macomb County Sheriff. Yeah, if 2 years it's not working out, I still think it's important to have a local law enforcement person inside the school if you can.
I agree. I just want them more than 2 days.
I get it.
Well, I mean, and we as a board could also just set our own, we can pass this, but set our own timeline in that, if we're not reaching improvements in the number of days that we're getting by a certain amount of time, that maybe we will either backfill with Macomb or even look at going with Macomb, and obviously with more notice for that, the financial piece of that for the budget, but, we can kind of do it that way as well.
What was our notice period? Is there a notice period and is there a penalty for canceling the contract? If we decide 2 years from now, you can't give us the full-time officer we desire. I don't exactly, was it a 30 or 60?
That was
There was-
30 days.
Was it 30?
Yeah.
And are there penalties?
Well, if it's no penalties, we could just pass this today and then tell them informally, in a year, we expect 5 days. Otherwise, we're gonna, give you a notice that we're canceling the contract and go with somebody else.
And that's the other thing too, is if you give, I mean, I'm just thinking, you give a brand new chief that's not exactly maybe sure what he's stepping into 100%, a 1-year ultimatum, he may not even look.
And I've been told that was a concern, is that over the past couple discussions I've had was there's not a contract in place. It's nothing long-term. You guys can pull the rug out out of us at any time.
Right, so why look, I mean,
If you do what you say you're going to do, contractually, we're obligated to pay you. We're not going to pull the rug out from under you.
right,
I mean, how long have we had an SRO in our schools from New Baltimore?
Yeah.
I don't see us saying, well, we're good now with that 5-day-a-week position. We can't afford it, or we're gonna do something different, so
No.
we're just gonna pull it out.
not that, I'm talking, 16 months go by, he hasn't found the person yet, so he quits looking because he's feeling he hasn't made it up, so now we're gonna pull it all because he doesn't want to hire that full-time guy in 18 months. And now he's got that guy on his staff that he's either got to let go because now he no longer has a position for him to go to.
I guess knowing that there's a 30-day out, quite frankly, and I'm sure this will be spun however it needs to be spun, I'm fine with approving it. If I have no penalties, again, the conversation needs to take place between Mr. Pape and the chief. We want, our principal wants
It-
a full-time SRO in a year or two.
And I
Let's
think
set
there-
some kind of goal.
Right.
Or some kind of answer that it's not gonna happen,
Fair enough.
right? You
Right.
know, it's not gonna happen. We can't do it. It's gotta be one or the other.
Yeah, so why don't, well, I guess I'll propose this informally. So let's approve this and then create another line item immediately after this one, saying that let's commit as a board to have in 1 or 2 years, whatever we decide, to engage with New Baltimore, or whatever police department, to have a 5-day SRO work for us. That way that, you know, it's something that we can hold to. It's not something we're just gonna forget about. And
Well, if you might be cleaner off to do the other way to, basically approve it up to 1 year and then we can go back. At least that gets us for this year and then,
Why don't we, it sounds like everybody is kind of more on board to approve this at this point, assuming. Why don't we go through with this vote? And Mr. Jankowski and I will add for the next meeting, before the next meeting, we'll maybe have a committee meeting with
yeah, well, we can do it. It
policy
would,
or
well. can do it
where
towards
we
the
can
end.
construct or build it, yeah, where we
Yeah,
can
we can talk about
construct a
doing it.
resolution for
Yeah.
the board to pass, and
There
that
you
just
go.
that we're gonna resolve as a board to, that it's our intent and
Yeah,
for our district that we want a full-time SRO, and this is kind of the direction we're looking to go. And we're looking to have this fulfilled in, the near future and whatever we decide as a committee. And then we can pass that resolution or put it up for a vote and kind of go from there. And we can kind of hold ourselves and administration to that. And then we'll just, we can go forward then that way so that we're not leaving ourselves without, but we're making it clear our intentions of, where we'd like to go and we're looking to move. Okay. So back to the New Baltimore Security Resource Officer contract. Any other discussion or comments? All right, go ahead and call the roll on this one.
Mr. Moses,
Yes,
Mr. Vendatelli,
yes,
Ms. Knox, yes, Ms. Brookmeyer,
Yes.
Mr. Green,
No,
Mr. Richards.
Yes.
All right, motion passes. Likewise, next we have the St. Clair County Security Resource Officer contract. Again, contract for the district to have a full-time SRO from the St. Clair County Sheriff's Department. So the recommendation is to approve the contract as presented.
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay, discussion?
so let's talk about this one. So the numbers are kind of out in public. What is the cost of this contract annually?
so this is because they work off of a calendar year, so there's from September 1st of this year to December 31st, it's 25,000. Then beginning in January, it would be 77,614. And then the following year, it's 85,000. Then in January 1st, 2026 through August 31st, 2026, which I'm assuming that's when their contract ends with the police officers, the sheriffs, it's 60,000. So then at that point, we'll know what the rate is and we'll have to work on it because that's when their successor agreement would hopefully be in place.
So this is nearly a 5-year deal as well.
Mm-hmm.
And let's just look at next year, since it's a 12-month period of 77,614 is for 181 days. Correct?
Yes,
So it's a full-time SRO, 5 days a week at the high school,
yes.
plus the other fringes that come with that, like going to our football games, working with Mr. Pape, all
Yeah.
those other things.
Which we pay extra, yes.
Do we pay extra? Well, I know we pay extra for the officers that come at night, but I'm assuming that
Yeah.
our SRO that's included in his services. Does he just come in late one day and work a football game?
He can do that, but we prefer to have him full-time during the day if at all possible, yeah.
So we're paying an overtime rate then when he comes,
Yeah, yep.
when he works at night? Okay.
Any other discussion? All right, go ahead and call the roll for this one.
Ms. Knox, yes. Mr. Moses?
Yes.
Mr. Vendatelli?
Yes.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Richards?
Yes.
Ms. Berkmeyer?
Yes. Okay. Next item is our St. Clair County Head Start lease. So their board has an attached agreement with St. Clair County Head Start program to use classrooms here at McDonald Elementary for the 23-24 school year. So the recommendation is that we approve the St. Clair County Head Start program to use McDonald for this upcoming school year. Is there a motion for this?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll support.
And
Just-
I just would like to interject, just so, you know, this is the Blue Water Commission that normally ran that. They had an issue, so they are not running it. And so there's a third party that's what this agreement is with. They are going to run it in the interim until the Blue Water can kind of get its kind of program back together. But it will be the same teacher, probably most of the same students, using the same classrooms, and it follows the exact same agreement that we've used in previous years. I just wanted you to be aware it's a different entity that's actually organizing.
And go ahead and call the roll.
Mr. Moses?
Yes.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Ms. Berkmeyer?
Yes.
Mr. Richards?
Yes.
Mr. Vendatelli?
Yes.
Ms. Knox, yes.
Next, we have the MISD Parent Advisory Committee Representative. So the Special Ed Department presents the board and superintendent with the nomination for Kristen Bajoka for their Anchor Bay's representative on the Parent Advisory Committee. The Parent Advisory Committee is a countywide committee that represents the views of parents with special needs children, and they provide input at the ISD level and play an active role in cultivation of special ed programs through the county. The Special Education Department is seeking your approval to have this new member represent Anchor Bay at the MISD. So the recommendation is to approve Ms. Kristen Bajoka as our district's representative to the Parent Advisory Committee for the MISD. Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Okay, discussion?
Yeah, and Frank, he can give you more information if you.
Sure.
Good evening, Board of Education. Ms. Bajoka possesses a Bachelor of Social Work and was hired by the district in August 2022. She works in a self-contained program with our cognitively impaired students at the elementary level. She'll continue in this capacity, of course, next year. She currently has 2 children enrolled in the district, both at Great Oaks. One student does have an IEP, speech and language related supports, and accommodations to address food allergies. Ms. Bajoka approached me and did inquire about the possibility of representing this group, as our former PAC representative, Mr. Melvin Bailey, acknowledged that he would like to step down and give someone else an opportunity. We feel that Ms. Bajoka is firmly invested in the community and that she's a worthy candidate to represent our district. We think she'll cooperate effectively with the county level parents, our own district level parents, and I think she'll make a formidable representative for us.
Discussion? All in favor?
Oh, I was just gonna say thank you to Ms. Bajoka for stepping up. Every little thing you do ends up being, somewhat time consuming and everything. So that's really admirable, especially with 2 children in the district and obviously working as a para and everything. So thank you for that. Go ahead.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, motion passes. Next is the Michigan Schools Energy Cooperative Resolution. So the Board of Ed of Anchor Bay School District resolves, whereas the district is committed to reducing its environmental impact and operating costs, and whereas solar energy is a clean, renewable source of energy that can aid the district in achieving its goals. And whereas the district is currently a member of the Michigan Schools Energy Cooperative and a participant in the Michigan Schools Energy Cooperative Electric Choice Program. And the cooperative has received a proposal from North Star Clean Energy, a CMS energy company, for the installation of an off-site solar energy system that will generate electricity for the district. Therefore, be it resolved that the district approves that the Michigan School Energy Cooperative, as agent on behalf of the district, enter into a 1-year power purchase agreement for 100% of the district's annual electricity usage with North Star Clean Energy at a fixed rate not to exceed 7.5 cents per kilowatt hour for the generation and delivery of solar electricity, with commercial operation expected to begin in June of 2025. So the recommendation is that the board approve the school energy cooperative resolution as presented.
So we need to make a motion to, all right, I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second it so we can get the discussion going.
So basically what they're saying is the energy that they provide, we will be paying them the same amount we're paying DT, or, right?
Yeah, then Todd can actually give you some.
Yeah, I'm not sure I heard your question.
Oh, basically what they're saying is that every kilowatt that they provide, they're only going to charge us the same amount that our current electrical contractor or
Yeah,
provider charges us.
Mike, it'll actually be less. And that's part of the reason that we're suggesting that we go with this opportunity. So if the board would like to hear, I got a 5-minute spiel I can give you about what's going on here. So as Lisa indicated, we belong to the cooperative MESIC, and we are a part of their electric choice program. So we purchase all of our electric from MESIC. We use about 11.7 million kilowatt hours a year here at Anchor Bay. That was how many hours we had last year. And so MESIC was looking to diversify some of their suppliers of power, electric, that they have. They sell about 650 million kilowatt hours a year. The solar farm that they're talking about will only produce about 93 million kilowatt hours. So it's only about 20% of what they sell in a year. So even though we're asking for 100% of it, it's more than likely our numbers can be reduced to where they're only giving us about 20% of the cost that we have, or of that 11.7 million kilowatt hours. Only about 20% of that will actually be awarded. But we're asking for more. And the reason we're doing that is that, right now they did a study comparing peak power products, and they did a market projection. And if they kind of continue on for the next 15 years, they were looking and just kind of at their regular rate, they're looking at about 8.1 cents per kilowatt hour. Going with this agreement, we are locked into 7.5 cents per kilowatt hour for the next 15 years for all of the solar power that we receive. Like I said, it's quite possible that the other 80% could be at that 8.1. But the reason we're asking for 100% is because we'd like to get 100% of our power at 7.5 as opposed to 8.1. So it's a cost savings to the district to go with that clean power option.
Is it, we don't own any of the equipment, right? We're basically buying it off them like they're the utility.
Yeah, MESIC is the provider. So they, they're essentially a cooperative that purchases or gets, electric from different sources. One of those sources will be this solar farm, through North Star Clean Energy. And that's how they think about 20% of the power they need on an annual basis. I don't know if this is helpful or not, but it's going to be located in Genesee County. It's a 50 megawatt single access solar asset, providing 93 million kilowatt hours annually. Construction is set to begin in 2023, fall of 2023 this year, and they expect to go online in June of 2025. And then it would be in place for the following 15 years until 2040.
So I want to clarify to the board because I misread the resolution and it is a 15-year power purchase agreement. Not, I believe I said 1 year.
So basically, we're already a part of this. We just want a piece of this cheaper, greener energy.
That's well said.
Okay.
Is there any government money coming our way if we use this?
No,
No, just
No.
curious.
no.
I'm assuming any rebates go back to that consortium or cooperative.
And basically, if they can't provide it, we're just paying the rate we've paid before.
Correct. It'll really, the percentage that we get will depend on how many other schools in the cooperative decide they want to participate.
So trying to wrap my head around this one. So if they're offering, and this is a cost savings, right? So if they're offering cheaper energy, what's the benefit of them going to Anchor Bay? Why not just go and sell energy to the public market?
Well, MESIC is a cooperative for public schools. That's in their charter. That's why they were constructed. So they are going into partnership with the solar provider for the explicit reason of getting better rates, cleaner energy for the schools.
And how are they able to get these better rates then? Who's funding the solar panels? Is the company that we're buying the energy from?
Well, it's certainly funded by, the schools that are paying for the energy and they're purchasing that energy from the cooperative. So that's the primary way that that's happening. But if you're talking about the arrangement between the solar provider and MESIC, I think there's a couple things. Number one, they're going to make some money, of course, because they're not doing this for free. They're taking on all the costs of the infrastructure of putting in the solar field, acquiring the property, putting in the infrastructure, the panels themselves. And so they are doing that at no cost to MESIC, and no cost is passed then therefore onto us. And so I'm sure in the amount that they're charging, the 7.5, they have some profit built into that.
Okay, I guess I just don't understand. I mean, that sounds great for us, right? So there's really no downside that I can see of. We're just basically signing a resolution that we're gonna have cheaper energy.
Yes, that would be our hope. I mean, there's no guarantee that we're going to get the 100%. I'm hopeful that we would get at least 20% of our energy that way.
And I guess I'm just trying to inquire about the feasibility of this. Because if every company in the world could just put up together a solar panel field and offer cheaper energy, then we wouldn't have DTE energy anymore. Like that, we just get rid of all the coal-fired power plants by next year. So I guess I'm just, I guess for my information's sake, because of the worst case scenario is we just go back and pay the energy company.
Yeah, I think
Normally would.
if, everything fell apart and they weren't able to do what they're proposing here,
Mhm.
certainly we'd be under no obligation, and there's really no downside to us because we would just return to getting our energy in the traditional fashion that we have from MESIC and probably pay the slightly higher rate because of that 0.75 or 7.5 cents per kilowatt hours only for the solar power. It's not for the other electricity that they're purchasing. They're saying that will be closer to, on average, 8.1 cents over the next 15 years. So if, North Star is not able to provide the energy, your concern, then we would just be stuck with MESIC at the higher rate. But we would continue to purchase all of our energy through MESIC.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
Any other questions?
Okay, and just again, to clarify, it is a 15-year power purchase agreement, not 1 year. Go ahead and call the roll.
Mr. Moses,
Did you clarify? I'm sorry.
Yep.
It is a 15-year.
Mhm.
Do I need to amend it since I made the motion on a 1 year?
No, I mean, you had the info
Okay.
prior, I just misspoke.
Sure. Okay, yes.
Mr. Vendatelli,
Yes.
Ms. Knox, yes, Mr. Richards,
Yes.
Mr. Green,
Yes.
Ms. Bergmeyer.
Yes. Great. Next item is a field trip request. The dance team is requesting to attend the Dance Team Union 2024 National Championship in February 9th to 11th at the Hyatt Regency Orlando Convention Center in Florida and North South Orange County Convention Center. And they will be attending with chaperones. So the recommendation is to approve the dance team to attend the nationals they qualified for.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Is there a cost to the district at all?
No, this is so that they can begin with their fundraising and so on. So this is just the annual trip they've done for
Okay,
several years.
and they're probably still working out chaperones, I would imagine.
Yes.
Okay. Right.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Next, we have an award recommendation for pole barn construction. So Anchor Bay received bids on August 8th to construct 2 barns. We'll call them Building A and B. This recommendation is to construct Building A as specified in the bid with the attached bid tabulation. Ms. Wiley, our maintenance supervisor, has reviewed the 1 bid that we received and conducted a post-bid interview. Location and construction will be at the high school near the visitors concession stand. It is the recommendation to the award the construction of Building A to Elm Construction in the amount of $73,785. And this is funded by our 2023 bond. So the recommendation is to award the construction of Building A to Elm Construction for $73,785 as presented. Is there a motion for this award?
So moved.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, we're doing 2 buildings. Is there a reason that we didn't do them at the same time to maybe get a better deal?
Yeah, at this point, we're only doing the one. This is part of the discussion at the last building and site. Where we need to do the one in order to get the materials out of where the auto shop area is now at the high school to kind of store that. And then the other building is potentially going to be the team room, which we're going to. So this one is most pressing because of construction. So we're going to do this one.
If you want, I can update from the committee. We basically felt that we didn't disagree with the building. We didn't like the optics of it. And we thought it should have been more of an actual team room with lockers and bathrooms and you know what I mean, which ups the cost. But we kind of thought, at least in our opinion, that it was worth waiting on. rather than throwing up something that in 3 years you may regret you built, especially in the position where it's at, because you're not going to be able to build a team room anywhere close there. You'd have to tear it, in my opinion, you'd have to tear it down and rebuild it, or you're stuck with what you have. But I do agree that it's better than nothing. It was just kind of an ongoing discussion. But I think that's why we held off on building the second one, to see what kind of funds were left, to see if we could do something better with the team room than what was presented. Am I correct in that?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank
As
you,
far as
Mr.
the building
Moses.
committee.
Yeah, thank you.
How many people do we send this out to that we only got one response?
We
If
put
you
it
happen to
out
know.
on all of the normal. Yeah,
Yeah, it was posted on the state website that we're required to post
Yeah.
that. And I know it was over 100 different vendors that we sent it out to.
Okay,
So
thanks.
Is this still within the budget that we were
yeah.
aiming for?
Oh, yes.
All right.
Go ahead and call roll.
Ms. Knox, yes. Mr. Moses?
Yes.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Ms. Berkmeyer?
Yes.
Mr. Vendatelli?
Yes.
Mr. Richards?
Yes.
And the next one is for high school addition site work. So on July 11th, formal bids were received for the high school addition site work project. Barton Mallow received the proposals with the project architect and is prepared to recommend the following actions concerning the award of contracts. Simone Construction Services for $582,000 and project contingency for $58,200. So the recommendation is that the board approve both, the total award being $640,200 as presented. Is there a motion for this award?
Yep, I'll make a motion to approve.
I will second.
Discussion?
Is this within the budget that we,
Yes, this is to move all the utilities that are going to be where the construction will take place, the first phase. So this is, yeah, it fits within.
Mr. Moses?
yes,
Ms. Knox, yes. Mr. Vendatelli?
Yes.
Mr. Richards?
Yes.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Ms. Berkmeyer?
Yes. All right, that concludes our new business. So we'll move on to board comments or points of pride. Mr. Vendatelli, do you want to start us off?
I will do that. So I heard, don't know what day it was, but Mr. Jankowski offered his services as an announcer for a cornhole tournament.
Yes.
And naturally does a very good job with that, just has a natural announcer voice. And I'd just like to say congratulations. I believe a lot of people referred you as a, what do you call it? Lost opportunity. You should have been a sports broadcaster instead of the superintendent. So congratulations on that.
just looking forward to a lot of great fall sports starting up. I know, I think football is their first game this Thursday. So, and I know, was it
Tomorrow.
boys, is it tomorrow already?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. And was it boys soccer starting up?
Yeah.
Yep.
Tennis, cross country. I'll leave the rest for Dennis.
I'm glad to see my invitation here for the staff welcome back day. I'm planning on making it on Tuesday because last year was so phenomenal that I have to see what these guys pull out of the hat this year to entertain me, amuse me, and give me a little education. So I am excited to see what's going to happen on Tuesday. And several staff members have actually told me they are as well. So the pressure's on, guys.
I just want to say, I hope everyone had a great summer and are refreshed and ready to return to work in school. And good luck to all of our alumni going into the workforce, the trades, and college. I know a bunch have been starting this week. I'm also going to send all of our board members an email as I did last year and hope you will join me to volunteer for football concessions as a board. We had a good time last year. Mr. Jankowski's wife also joined us. And so I'll be sending you guys an email for that. And I think that's about it. So just, it'll be a Friday. No, not for tomorrow, but for an upcoming Friday, preferably when it's colder because concessions are warmer. So yeah, just get ready and welcome back, everyone.
Have some technical difficulties tonight, so just be kind of quick and sweet.
Oh, boy.
Computer's dead. I'd like to welcome all new staff members. I'm looking forward to a great school year. Looking forward to welcoming back our existing staff members as well. I'd like to thank all the staff members that have been organizing the orientation at the schools. Thank you. I've heard a lot of positive feedback, at the orientation. And as Mike said, I'm looking forward to the sporting events, and I think it's gonna be an exciting and great year. And Anchor Bay is still hiring. Come join a great team.
Great, and I just want to add, my points of pride would be our summer school staff and pop-up class instructors, are those that put together a pop-up class or a camp for the summer. We just had a curriculum meeting prior to this meeting and had overwhelming positive feedback for the pop-up classes as well as the summer school classes. We continue to have, I believe we said 31 teacher cadets who helped with summer school, and they were paid to assist, right?
Mhm.
Yep. So there's an opportunity there as well. It was, from what our staff has said, it was a really great experience, and the cadets really stepped up and were very helpful to the teachers, and that was reflected in their reviews of the summer school experience as well. So I want to thank everybody who took time out of their summer hours and contributed for our kids. And that would be my point of pride. Do we have any legislative update?
No, they are on break until Labor Day.
And then board committees, I just said we had a curriculum committee prior, we're just updating on professional development for our staff, and as well as how summer school and those programs went this summer. And then going forward, talking about hopefully moving forward with a middle school robotics. And then other opportunities that are hopefully going to be offered either after school or in the summer coming forward. So, and I think, Mike talked about the building committee, their discussion already. Did you have anything else you wanted?
No, just everything seems to be going as planned. There'll be a lot of changes to the high school. It's going to be pretty exciting. I can't wait to see how it all turns out.
I don't think any other committees met. All right, so I will take a motion to adjourn.
Before you adjourn, we now have lakefront property on Washington near the bus garage. But I was inquiring, it looks like we started to put a fence in that'll probably be sitting in current status for the next several weeks. What are we doing there?
Oh, that's the replacement of the wood fence that was around the bus garage. So now that was approved at the last board meeting.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we moved it halfway across the space between, the open space between the condo complex and the existing fence. Is there a plan there to use that, or are you just
Yeah,
future use?
The plan is, the way that we're planning to phase that is, we knew in the last phase of the bond that we're going to redo all the asphalt there. But the fence needed to be moved now. And so we moved the fence, and then we're actually going to move the employee parking inside the fence in that area,
Okay,
because they typically park in the parking lot out in front of North. So then that will consolidate that. But we figured instead of putting the fence where it was and having to go back when we get to the last phase of the bond, we can put it there and then just use it as is, even though it might just be a gravel lot for the time being.
you're gonna have to do some drainage or bring in a lot of
Yes.
gravel.
Well, every 3 days, it seems like it's monsoon season here.
That's true lately. Thank you. Sorry for the interruption.
All right, is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll move.
Second.
Support.
Take a pick, you or Patrick.
Oh, Patrick.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, motion passes. Meeting adjourned at 8:05. Have a good night.